Hello everyone, welcome back to another SMITE tutorial, Khepri support. It is your host, Professor Reha, and here we have, I actually started this recording here at the God Selection so I can talk about who's picking what. I do like the Khepri in solo lane. My only issue is that if you have been paying attention to how Khepri specifically works, he reduces the enemy's physical protections when they're hit by it, so that is a bit of a downside for Khepri here, the fact that there's only going to be 2 physicals unless Macedonia decides to go with the magic ADC, which we really hope they don't. But that is, I don't have a problem with the Khepri pick in solo. I think Khepri can do very well in solo, it's just that he doesn't work quite as well with Khepri in context, all things considered. It's just a minor quibble with Khepri. Is it going to matter in the long run? Probably not, but it is something you should know about Khepri if you see somebody pick Khepri. Try and pick physical if you can. Try to get that 3 physical, 2 magic comp, because although I personally usually prefer 3 magic to 2 physical, because towers and minions and the Titan are all doing physical damage, so you can kind of balance it out that way. With Khepri, you do actually want that 3 physical, 2 magic. Khepri does perform a little better. Everyone else physical damage performs a little better under those circumstances. Now, as for their team, if I had to take a guess, Janus is their jungler, unless Tiamat is. It could be either of their mages being the jungler, which is going to create the very interesting, higher than normal damage jungler, but a little bit squishier, unless it's Tiamat, in which case she's going to be slower and hitting harder, but more defensive than your average jungler. So it'll be interesting to see where they're going with that. I am somewhat curious. In the long run, I'm going to have to build fairly balanced here. I will actually be wanting to go with the Stone of Gaia again. Now, do I need anti-healing? That remains to be seen. So for actually this time, because I'm not sure how much lifesteal they're going to build, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, we're going to go straight into Emerald Talisman for the health, the bit of health regeneration here. We're going to go into Hand of the Gods, because we don't need potions as much, because we do have the Emerald here, the Emerald Talisman, we do have that, so we don't need that quite as much. So, hog the Void buff, of course. Try to get some extra bonus experience to yourself. The main reason why is because if you can hit level 2 before the enemy support, you can pull off a little bit of a nice stunt with Abduct, if you're paying attention, if they're positioned correctly. Also, this is something I meant to talk about the last game, but I really didn't, but I'm sure it has been floating around your mind. When do you pick Abduct first? Because I mentioned, either in the last episode or the first episode, that there are occasions where maybe you want Abduct first. You want Abduct first if the enemy carry is a melee character. That is condition A. In condition B, your carry has some way of either... I did not actually intend to kill the big one. And your carry has some method of dealing extra damage quickly. Scotty, for instance, Izanami with their double hits can hit both the wave and the person you're abducting. So there is that as well. Heimdall can hit multiple targets with his AoE, his mostly AoE axes. So those 3 are prime examples of carries that you could use Abduct with, and again, only if the enemy carry is melee, or you expect for some reason the enemy carry to be a melee character. It really works out well there, because the melee character has to hit the front lines. They have to actually go up to the front lines, making them very easy to abduct. If they're a ranged carry, it's too high risk, really, most of the time, to make that theoretically work. Because you're going to be hit by the minions, you're going to be hit, you're going to be in their line, so to speak, so it becomes quite risky to abduct someone. Where are you retreating, guy? You have this. So yeah, otherwise Abduct is just too risky in the first few levels to pull it as your level 1 ability. Yes, it hits harder, but it doesn't help the minion wave as much. If you want to push me back, that's fine. That was a lot of effort for a whole lot of nothing.
Enemy missing.
How are you feeling, Hou Yi? What do you got? What did you pick up first anyways? Okay, pick the arrow, that's fine. Okay, I clipped him with the Rising Dawn, which is really nice. Missed that, that's fine. Wondering if they're gonna go pretty aggressive on this. They're not, okay. I was hoping they'd go under tower, but they probably realized that would not be a smart move. They don't have what they need for that. Okay, he's just used his ability, so they're pretty low down. You just hit him for a good clean amount of damage. Oh, he's not chasing, he's not pursuing that. Okay. I think we could have done something with that. Chang'e's coming in. I think that was a mistake to not push that. They had just used all their abilities on the Void Camp. Chang'e was coming in. I think leaving that was a mistake. I think we could have pushed that Hou Yi. He's playing very conservatively for some reason. I'm not 100% sure why. We are at least getting the totems, so that is excellent. But yeah, I think that was a missed opportunity right there. I think Hou Yi and I dropped that. I wanted to push it though, for the record. You saw that. I just want to throw that out there. I do think we could have taken that. I think that was a win. I'm going to fall back, actually. The wave is pushed up. I'll have time to grab my Stone of Gaia and come back. I also want to buy some wards, because I'm expecting a visit from their junglers soon. It's been too long without any kind of action from the junglers, so I'm kind of getting paranoid. Yeah, he'll fall back a little bit. He'll probably try to bounce an arrow off the wall if he's smart and hit the front wave. Or the front line of the wave, pardon me. And is Ganesh staying around, or is he going away? Ganesh left. Okay, so we're gonna need to call that. I don't know if he's coming. Oh, there he is. He is coming back. Good thing I didn't leave right away. Could have been bad. That worked out quite nicely. That's nice. You're gonna go ahead and own me? No, you're not. Okay. That, you just wasted your beads. I got his beads for free. Ganesh could have silenced me out of that instantly for much less cost. There was no reason he needed to beads that. That was an excellent set of ults. I would have preferred to get Heimdall, but I wasn't 100% sure I'd be able to abduct him in time. Ganesh was doing a pretty good job of body blocking that. So that was pretty nice on that score. No, we can take this. Just split this 3 ways. Thor, you could have gotten some bonuses here. Oh my goodness, okay. Oh, are we taking him? We theoretically can. Nope. He played that smart. That was a good play. The Heimdall is pretty good. I wasn't quite paying attention, but there's a possibility Heimdall used his ult to get out of the Hou Yi ult. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't notice. I was too busy trying to get my angle. The Ganesh's sacrifice for the Heimdall was also pretty good. That prevented us from chasing down the Heimdall, and actually it would have been a much more successful well, I suppose it wouldn't have mattered whether or not Thor was there. I don't need to be here anymore. I'm going to assume, yeah, he's building stacks, so he doesn't want me here. I'm going to let him know. He doesn't need me there anymore. He's buildings. What is, he's going to be building stacks, but he hasn't gone back yet. He has the advantage of being able to come back much faster, though, so I think in the long run, Hou Yi is going to lose his lane, because Heimdall can just go to Fountain and then teleport back with his crystal, unless Heimdall chooses to save his crystal for specifically escaping from near-death experiences. But I feel like there is a large amount of potential for him to just We can get him. We can get him. Thor, my guy. Gotta believe. Ah, well, it's not a huge problem. But... And there's no guarantee we would have gotten Ganesh there, but it would have been worth a shot at the very least. Glad to see Ganesh also rotated, but it will be interesting to see how Heimdall uses his crystals. The Bifrost Bridge, I think it's called. Because that's going to very heavily influence exactly how well that lane is going to go in total for him. He waltzed right into that tower with no reason. Okay, we're all being silly here. What are we doing? Yeah? Yeah? Punk? Nope. Denied. Thanks for the free healing, Ganesh. I was right on top of that. I knew as soon as that Ganesh ult came out that I was probably going to need to ult him. That ult hits hard. How's Hou Yi doing? Okay, Hou Yi's doing fine. Ooh, hello. I'm not sure why I grabbed you. There was really no need. That was a good play, though. He played that smart. I'm going to go ahead and... Okay, I can't do Dilly Squad with this. Alright, never mind. I was just going to back. There's nothing else I can do with this. And... we have our reinforced shoes. Now, Ganesh is roughly the same speed we are, so unless... Now, he built reinforced shoes too. Okay, yeah. So we're fine with this. Heimdall pushing down. It looks like Heimdall is, yeah, probably using his Bifrost Bridge to apply faster pressure from Fountain. If I had to take a guess. No, I can't afford to go over there right now. So he is doing what I was expecting he would do, so he's going to win that lane. It's just a matter of time. Unless Hou Yi can get some really spicy kills on him, he's going to lose that lane. There's absolutely no two ways about that. And that's not Hou Yi's fault. I mean, that's just the way it goes when you have a... what do you call him? Oh, I was so close to saving her. If it was a hair earlier. I can't save you, I don't have my ult up. Gilgamesh does make for an excellent jungler. But yeah, the Hou Yi, if Hou Yi does bad, it's not necessarily going to be his fault. It's just a matchup against Heimdall. There's just nothing you can do about it. The Khepri is doing surprisingly well against Tiamat, although if any solo lane was going to do well against Tiamat, it was going to be my boy Khepri. The reason why is because he has a constant and permanent 5% damage reduction, whereas Tiamat only has a conditional one. So, yeah, we see you, guy. That was horrific. That was terrible. Oh my goodness. That was trash. Oh, wow. That was really bad. How are they doing on healing? She's got lifesteal, he's got lifesteal, he's going to be building some form of healing. Okay, so we're going to want Tainted Steel. Okay. I just wanted to confirm that. That's alright. I should probably fall back. I have no mana. Oh! We don't need to be here. Yo! That was some fast acting. No, what are you still doing up here? Go back home. How do I say return to base again? I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember, but... Alright, so Tainted Steel. We're just going to grab that really quick. I'm going to want to build some magic protections right off the top. Well, no, the next thing I should really be building is Gauntlet of Thebes, in all honesty. That should be my next move. Now that I have Tainted Steel. I could have built Gauntlet of Thebes before Tainted Steel, but right now I needed a little bit of anti-heal. I'm going to build Gauntlet of Thebes, and then I have to decide whether I want Contagion or if I want Pestilence as my anti-heal item. That's going to be a pretty interesting question. But I'm leaning towards Contagion as my anti-heal, and then going into Genji's Guard for some magic magic protections. I could go into Void Stone. That wouldn't be a bad idea. That was nice. That was nice. You think you're safe? Oh, I missed him barely. Yeah, I'm dead here, but... No, I'm not dead here. Oh, yeah, okay, he came over for that. Okay, fair enough. So, anyways, I could do Void Shield, but would it necessarily be worth it? How heavy is the damage that Bracken's building? Not that heavy. Okay. Do I really want Void Shield? That's the question, but I think that'll probably be the smarter move at this point. We'll get Void Shield, and then we'll get Contagion Red. Ah, no, we need Gauntlet of Thebes first, pardon me. Silly me. Yes, so Gauntlet of Thebes, then possibly Void Stone, not Void Shield, Void Stone, then Contagion. Void Stone to kind of balance out my protection reduction on enemy targets. I could not save him in time. Yeah, and if I stick around here, I'm going to die next. They're going to throw that down lane, though. They have a very high damage early comp. Whether we can save it in the end game, I'm not sure. My knee-jerk is not really. I'm not entirely optimistic about our chances of winning this. But I'm willing to give it my best shot. Okay, he is just playing that safe, which is the smart move. Almost got him. I got the minion wave at the very least for freebies. Can you come around here? There we go. You should be okay. You're going back, but I'm assuming you're talking about in future. I can't really do much with that, though, not without seriously nerfing you into the ground. Executioner, huh? Then again, I do have enough mana to be able to do something if I choose.
Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower has been destroyed. An enemy has fallen. Get off of them!
He is not chasing this hard enough. I have sacrificed a large... Okay, I baited that, so I get this for free, I think. This takes too long. No, it took too long. Oh no, I lived. I gotta get out of here. I'm dead. Yeah. Hou Yi did not... He did not push that aggressively enough when I was there. When I was there, he should have been really hard on that. Hou Yi's problem is he's too passive. He's too afraid. You can describe it with either of those two terms, but he's not aggressive enough at the end of the day. He should have been right on top of that once I got there, because I had that Heimdall locked down with my full kit as soon as I showed up in that lane. Hou Yi should have marked him and been prepared with that hot stun right afterwards, and then jumped on him to keep him away from the crystal, from the Bifrost Bridge. He did none of this. He was busy killing the minion wave while I was trying very hard to lock down Heimdall, which is the problem there. That was why I died there. I did not need to die there. Hou Yi was too passive. If he had been more aggressive, I would have lived. Even if he hadn't killed Heimdall for some reason, I probably would have been able to get away alive, because he would have been able, Heimdall would have backed off. Okay, either Gilgamesh has massive amounts of defense, or Thor has no penetration or damage. Okay, he's got stone cutting, so that's why. Alright. And Thor just doesn't have any penetration. That's alright. I was wondering why the Thor was doing so little damage, but ultimately that's why. Stone cutting versus absolutely no penetration at all. Makes sense. Okay. I don't blame Thor for his build. It's an okay build. Gilgamesh's build is interesting, but it is definitely a good build. I can understand why he built stone cutting sword here. That's an unusual but still very intelligent pickup. I like that. He's not going to aggress on this because he knows Chang'e's ult is up. And if that's about the only thing that's going to kill Janus at this point. We are going to get counter-rotated on. I mean, he just uses ult, but Hou Yi is well under towers, so that's not really going to do much for him, I don't think. Gilgamesh, okay. She shouldn't have gone that way. She should not have gone that way. She should have gone around the back like this. Once Gilgamesh showed up, she should not have continued trying to go that direction. Why are we fighting here? Oh, I don't like this fight. I think they're all here. We just lost Chang'e. This is not a good fight here. This is an absolutely atrocious fight. Okay. We are not going to win this game. We are not coordinated. Our damage dealers are too passive. Yeah, Chang'e's mistake was just keeping on going once Gilgamesh showed up. I don't know why I keep trying to harp on Ganesh by accident. But no, this is not a strong situation. We are in a very bad position. Psychologically, as well as just in terms of actual game state. That's what I was looking for. Game state. And Chang'e is going to die. She's too aggressive. It's really bizarre. I made a misstatement earlier. I said our damage dealers were too passive. Chang'e is too aggressive. Hou Yi is too passive. The Thor is fine. He just needs penetration. Oh man, I was literally a second too late. Here's Tiamat, which is a bit of a problem. There, good. Interesting. It would not let me blink. I'm pretty sure it was because I was trying to blink into the rock. He's desperately trying to save his boy Janus, but Janus is out. Okay. I'm gonna just try to stall for time. Oh no, he owned me, that's good. Okay, he played that really well to Ganesh. I shouldn't have tried to engage Janus there, but honestly, even though I knew he was getting away, I bought... No, I didn't buy frag enough time. Never mind, that was a complete waste. I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been that deep. I overextended very badly. I'm gonna have to build Void now. Try that. Yeah, this should be fine. And then we'll go into Contagion, unless it's not enough magic protections and health, which it might not be. Trying to decide. Tiamat, of course, is fairly tanky, but that's about the only one. No, we're gonna go into, I think Genji's Guard. I think that I need to cool down the MP5 more. Okay, so we have Ganesh and Janus here. Can we actually get something here before they get reinforced? Kill Ganesh, kill Ganesh. There you go. Okay, good. Tiamat's over and right. We can maybe take middle tower. No, probably not. I'm just trying to scare him. Didn't work because Heimdall came up, but... I'll be fine. It's not gonna kill me. That did, though. He is hitting absolutely... Okay, he's got lots of penetration. He just finished Charon's coin, that's why. Okay. That was, again, me being too aggressive. I'm not sure why I'm making such aggressive decisions. Considering we're behind, I'm trying to figure myself out right now. But yeah, I made... That is twice in a row I was way too aggressive. I need to play way more passively than what I'm doing. Considering our team's psychology, I should probably be trying to counterplay rather than aggress. If he had gotten there a couple of seconds earlier, he probably would have been able to seal it with his ult. I'm going to see if I can save him, but... I probably can. Yeah. You're fine. Gilgamesh is not going to be able to catch up to you and kill you. You're alright. I thought for sure Janus was actually going to go for that, to be honest. I thought he was going to make that move.
Is under attack. Your right tower has been destroyed.
Nope.
Step up
Ah. Heimdall is focusing on me. What? Excuse me? He's focusing on me specifically. He's probably counter-build me. Executioner. Well, that's not specifically counter-build for me specifically, but it is usually what you build when you want to kill the Guardian quickly. There's nothing... Well, there's some things I can do about that. Let me see. I think the first thing I'll actually want to do is pick up Witchblade, actually move that up. Maybe we do, Pesty instead. I don't want to surrender this necessarily. I do want to play it out. Just for the, well, just for the purposes of the video, honestly, but I want to get out to a full build and talk about what went wrong. I can see what I'm doing wrong. I've talked about what I'm doing wrong. That's a good stun. Okay. Okay, yeah. I mean, I was too aggressive, specifically at the mid-game when I really could not afford to be. Besides that, the main issue, well, I think probably at the point that I built it at, Gauntlet of Thebes was a little too late. Retrospectively, if we had been ahead, that probably would have been fine. I'm going to give the kudos to these two. He was too passive, she was too aggressive. So we'll leave that alone. But essentially, yeah, my build-wise, I probably should have skipped over the Gauntlet of Thebes once we've started falling behind. I probably shouldn't have gone for that. Yeah, he's right. I should not have killed the giant purple minion. He's absolutely right in calling me out on that. That was a miscalculation on my part. Now, that may have explained his passive behavior, so we'll give him a pass on that. Potentially. I don't know if that maybe affected his psychology going into the game, possibly. He is right, it did make the early game a little bit difficult because he was, experience-wise, a little behind, and that can be somewhat difficult. He did play overall very well. I do feel like he played a little too passively. His build was fine, and his overall, besides being a little too passive, his gameplay was good. I just wish he was more aggressive. The Chang'e died 10 times because, besides being targeted by, who just admitted to targeting Chang'e? Gilgamesh. I mean, that's... That's kind of the jungler's job, though, so I'm not really sure why Gilgamesh is like, I'm sorry I went for you. It's your job as a jungler. Kind of. But, yes. I'll stand by that Hou Yi was maybe a bit too passive, but, like I said, I will give him a pass on that because I did accidentally reduce the amount of starting experience he had, which is entirely my fault. That was a miscalculation. Chang'e was theoretically being targeted by Gilgamesh, but that's his job anyways. Chang'e was playing a little too aggressively either way. A little bit more passive play would have been good there. Chang'e's build was fine. I mean, yeah, Chang'e missed an ult, but we all miss ults at some time. I mean, it's inevitable that you miss ults, so that's fine. But yeah, just a bit too aggressive on that. Also, I do somewhat question Rod up to Hou Yi. The Chang'e made the same kind of mistake I made at the same exact point. Basically, I should not have built Gauntlet of Thebes from behind. Chang'e should not have built Rod of Tahuti from behind. This is too expensive to build from behind. I think a better ramp up would have been Spear the Magus at that point in time. Do Rod of Tahuti a little bit later. Clearly, I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be Spear the Magus. Maybe reverse these two. This this is more expensive than Spear the Magus for exactly 30 more power and a percent pen rather than a flat pen. I mean, yes, percent pen is nice and all, but at that particular point, we were so far behind, the flat to the percentage wasn't going to make a huge difference. The 7.5% increased damage that we would have gotten from Spirit of the Magus probably would have been more helpful at that point. Maybe. That's all just theory, but that's just what I personally view. Otherwise, I'm fine with this. The Cabrakan played pretty well. Made some... I do question the Breastplate of Valor before the Talisman of Energy. I would have flipped these. The laning opponent was Tiamat. That is magic. I mean, don't get me wrong. Based on the score alone, Cabrakan absolutely dominated that solo lane. But I think personally, this could have been better switched. That's all I'm going to say there. Otherwise, it's absolutely fantastic. I really like the Spirit of the Magus pick here. Absolutely amazing. I think Winged Blade was a really good choice considering the enemy team comp. That was really good. And another thing I want to actually point out, the reason why Breastplate of Valor was maybe not as necessary as the third item is he already had physical protection from Vampiric Shroud. Now, maybe Gilgamesh was... Well, Gilgamesh we already know was popping around being pretty aggressive. So maybe he was having a hard time with Gilgamesh early on and built this as a response? Maybe? I can't tell you that. So maybe this was justified. So I will say, from what I see, Talisman of Energy should have been first. But if he was having a hard time with Gilgamesh, which based on Gilgamesh's scores and gameplay was entirely possible, then maybe he built this as response to Gilgamesh after finishing Shoes of the Magi. So I won't necessarily say he was 100% wrong here, because I don't know 100% what his situation was over there. I was focusing on my own stuff. The Thor played pretty well overall. Yeah, the Jotun's Wrath, I understand why. I mean, same conversation I had about my own build and Chang'e's build. Jotun's Wrath is probably the best that he could afford at that time, considering we were behind. That's fine. I understand that. As for the enemy team, notice that Ganesh built the Gauntlet of Thebes first. Now, I built the Stone of Gaia because of the sheer amount of movement that they had. I had the potential for Tiamat's Tornado once we started team fighting, Ganesh's pop-up obviously, Heimdall's ult, Janus' portal, Gilgamesh's kick. Every single member of the enemy team is capable of triggering Stone of Gaia. I don't regret building this. This was a really strong pick for the enemy team comp, but we didn't have that kind of capacity with our team. Hou Yi has a bounce if you've been marked, and I have Abduct. So only two of our members had the potential to trigger a Stone of Gaia, so he absolutely built Gauntlet of Thebes at the perfect time, right off the top. Really great buy. Sentinel's Gift was a bit of an interesting choice, but I can definitely agree and understand with it. I might have built Tainted Steel in that position, considering Chang'e, considering that most hunters build Lifesteal. It was a pretty safe bet, and especially considering that he could see me going into Stone of Gaia, or they could see me going into Stone of Gaia. But then they probably already purchased Sentinel's Gift before they even realized what I had, because what my build is invisible until enemy minions or wards see you. So, Sentinel's Gift is a good pick, is an overall strong pick. Reinforced Shoes, Shogun's Kusari is interesting. I do question this. I think that Ganesh would have been better off with Genji's Guard for 150 extra health and 10 more magic protections. And the reason why I say that is very specifically because only really Heimdall and Gilgamesh were going to be using that attack speed. Janus doesn't care. Even though Janus did the Rod to Hou Yi rush. Tiamat isn't really going to care because Tiamat doesn't hit very hard with her autos either. So I do kind of feel like Genji's Guard might have been a little bit better, unless it was for the crowd control reduction, in which case, but there's better items for that. I mean, just better items for crowd control reduction, in all honesty, than Shogun's Kusari. I don't think, especially considering that you already had 20% crowd control reduction here, 40% crowd control reduction isn't that big of a deal. 20% is a big deal. 40% isn't really a huge deal. Witchblade, of course, again, an interesting choice, considering our team comp didn't really emphasize auto attacks that often, just Hou Yi. Cabrakan just hits you once with the stun auto attack, and then basically after that it's all abilities. Thor's ult can make his auto attack stronger, but that's very conditional. So I am somewhat wondering about Ganesh's build. Now Ganesh obviously played really well, but I don't feel like Ganesh's stellar performance had anything to do with the build, because the first two items are on point. These two right here are kind of like, I don't know. I think there could have been improvement there. Let me see. Tiamat, fantastic. Soul Gem is a great start for solo lanes Tiamat. Obviously, Vampiric Shroud makes perfect sense. Voidstone, considering that the opponent was Cabrakan, excellent choice. Shoes, yup, that's fine. And Breastplate of Valor as we switched over into team fights. Yep. Yeah, no, that is a strong build. Tiamat's build was just fine. It's just that the Tiamat versus Cabrakan matchup must be absolutely atrocious. I wouldn't know about the Tiamat v Cabrakan build. I haven't played Cabrakan versus Tiamat in the solo lane, so I don't know. But that's what I would have to say is probably the culprit here. It's just a bad matchup because the build was on point. I don't know if also the Tiamat just maybe was new to Tiamat. I don't know. Tiamat's issues were not in the build, nor was it in the team-wide gameplay. It's also entirely possible that Gilgamesh was slapping so hard that they accidentally stole Tiamat's kills. I don't know, but the build was on point, so whatever Tiamat's issues were either because of the matchup versus Cabrakan, which is entirely possible. Cabrakan hits like a steam engine in the early game, or because Gilgamesh just picked up their kills by accident. Also, I love Protector of the Jungle for a jungling Gilgamesh. That's a fantastic play. The build overall here is really strong. I do really appreciate the Stone-Cutting Sword. That is a fantastic pickup. First item, that's great. I really like that. That's a smart build. Chin size, considering our team comp, I can understand this. Cabrakan, myself, very high in HP. Chang'e potentially could have gone into high HP. I've seen Chang'e's go into some HP with Rod of Asclepius, with Shield of Regrowth or whatever it's called. I've seen it happen occasionally, so this was a bit of a gamble, and I don't think it ultimately would have paid off, but at that particular point it didn't matter because Gilgamesh was so far ahead anyways. Serrated Edge, fantastic for the penetration, emphasizing that auto attacks even more, a little bit more sustain. Frostbound Hammer, lock them in. Yup, that's absolutely fantastic. Personally, no, Frostbound Hammer is probably the better choice. I was going to say, personally, maybe the Hastened Katana, but then I realized that the health from Frostbound Hammer makes the first ability of Gilgamesh hit harder. I forgot about that for a second. And the Janus, of course, Janus always slaps. The Rod of Tahuti Rush, I'm not a huge fan of the Rod of Tahuti Rush on Janus. Obviously it worked here, but it doesn't always, of course. It's just not a personal preference. I'm not going to actually say it was a wrong pick because, again, this is a matter of my personal preference. It is a strong item, and it is definitely a good first rush item. I do appreciate the Sands of Time. Sands of Time is definitely one of Janus' best starters. I mean, granted, mages don't have that many starters in the first place, but Sands of Time is definitely my favorite on Janus. Shoes of the Magi, Divine Ruin, great picks. Charon's Coin, yep. Janus' build was absolutely amazing. Janus played really well. That was some great gameplay by Janus. Overall, the Tiamat, I'm not sure what happened to the Tiamat. I wasn't paying enough attention to what was going on in solo lane for me to know specifically. I know we got the totem a whole lot, so I'm gonna guess that it was a bad matchup in the solo lane for the early game. The Gilgamesh absolutely slapped with a great build, some fantastic gameplay. Granted, Gilgamesh is pretty new and I think could use some mild damage adjustments. This is not an excuse. It's a fairly widely known issue that Hi-Rez has problems balancing newer gods. They still haven't fully balanced Tiamat, in my opinion. But she's in a much better place now than she used to be. Gilgamesh, I think they just need to reduce Gilgamesh's flat damage, to be honest, and I think we're pretty much fine there. Beyond that, They played really well overall. The Heimdall focusing me out was a great, smart play. That's, an important thing for hunters to do. Dedicated to the cause with Executioner and Wind Demon. I'm not normally fond of the combination, but I understand where the Heimdall is coming from. Short sword, obviously. I think personally, with Heimdall though, maybe Dominance would have been better, because you're really already getting some extra, benefit out of having powers, so perhaps Dominance would have been a bit of a better pick and flow better with Wind Demon. Now, you may be confused, and I have some time, we're only 40 minutes into the video, so I'm going to actually explain this very briefly. When penetration is applied, penetration is divided into 4 separate types of penetration. You have percentage reduction, flat reduction, percentage penetration, and flat penetration. I have just listed them in the order that they trigger first. So in Heimdall's build, we have Executioner triggering first. Physical protection is reduced by 21% total. Okay, that's fine. That 21% reduced physical protection then has the penetration applied to it. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, does this mean that the penetration was less effective than it would have been without the Executioner? Yes. Does that mean you should absolutely never build protection reduction with regular penetration? No, that's not what I'm saying. The Heimdall clearly demonstrated why it's effective in certain situations. It absolutely tore through me. And there's not a whole lot I could do about it. I was building an emergency Witchblade in what I already knew was going to be a vain attempt at saving myself, because I was so far behind already. Just our whole team was so far behind for the most part, except for Hou Yi. Because I left him there so he could farm up like he needed to. And he did that fine. He played pretty well overall, like I said, hair passive. But he played otherwise perfectly well. My first 3 items were great. These were really fantastic picks. I made a mistake with Gauntlet of Thebes, just to reiterate my own errors. I shouldn't have built this. We were behind. This should not have been built. Should have built Witchblade. Maybe even the Frostbound armor, whatever it's called, I can't quite remember. Midgardian Mail. Maybe build that in another vain effort, but at that point, we were so far behind that no matter what I built, I wasn't going to be able to survive Heimdall until I hit level 20. It just wasn't going to happen. So, ultimately, I think this was just more of a matter of just we didn't have, overall, the right kinds of matchups. At the end of the day, Ganesh is a counter to Khepri. I will throw that out there. That is not an excuse. There are ways of playing around that. I just did not enact them. And I actually mentioned a couple of times where Ganesh could have saved Heimdall. The moment where Heimdall used his beads early game when I abducted him, Ganesh could have stopped that in a heartbeat. Ganesh could have stopped any of my abductions in 2 different ways. Ultimately didn't need to, but it's very possible. Other than that, it was just a combination of small mistakes every member of our team made, combined with a couple of questionable build decisions, mostly on the part of Chang'e and I. And even then, Chang'e wasn't that far off the mark. I was pretty far off the mark with Gauntlet of Thebes here. I never should have built this at that point. It was way too late for that. I never should have built this. Route to Hou Yi makes sense a bit later, just a little out of order. This should never have happened. So, that's the overview of that match. So, we'll keep on going a couple more episodes with Khepri, I think. Just to give you some more data points, more points to talk about. Probably go 5 to 7 episodes. So this is episode 3, so 2 to 4 more episodes. We'll see how it looks at 5 episodes. Either way, thank you all very much for joining me. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, what have you, please leave them down in the comments below. Shout out to Macedonia for being friendly. Now, retrospectively, I wish I had commended you for at least friendliness. Thank you all very much for participating in this, and have a great 24 hours.